In this video, I'm going to tell you how people use different types of structures outside of equity to close deals. Because we were involved in transactions at the recording of this video where we didn't depend on any equity. So in other words, people didn't own your business to be able to fund you. And usually it's very hard to get more than one lender to be able to close your deal for you. Because usually if you want to buy, like, let's say a building, or you want to buy a business, you have to find a lender, to lend you part of the money to acquire it. And then you have to pay for the down payment. The issue is most people don't have the money to pay for the down payment, so they get an equity partner to partner with them. The problem is it's very hard to get equity and there are a lot of regulations around it. So how do we solve this problem? You get a second lender that is lending in addition to that first lender. So how do they get paid? How do they get happy? And how can a deal close? So there's 6 commonly used words when it comes to subordinated debt that confuse people. But if you understand how to leverage them, you can get 100% funding from loans alone. And it liberates you from a lot of regulation, a lot of red tape, a lot of slowdown, because debt always moves faster than equity. This is what an investment bank that closes $25 billion per year told me and my team 5 years ago. And it still remains true today, and it will probably be true in perpetuity. So the first term that people get mixed up is a junior loan or junior debt. So what really is junior debt? So junior debt is a form of debt that comes as second priority after the first lender. So if somebody lends money for you to you, you're going to pay him back. The junior lender is the person that gets paid after the first lender gets paid. So it's almost like they're second in line to get paid. And they take on more risk because they're getting the money second. And they also have like the collateral. They also have the same collateral oftentimes, but it'll be after that first lender. And the reason why that's important is because if you look at the risk, the person that lends you all the money first, they take more risk by paying you more money, but they take less risk because they get the money first. So that's usually how it works. And then that's why people that are junior lenders get paid higher interest, because it balances out the risk. And they also pay you less money. So that balances out the risk as well. So what's a subordinated loan? So a subordinated loan or subordinated debt is actually exactly the same thing as a junior loan. The only difference is it's a synonym. That's pretty much it. So whenever you hear subordinated debt and junior debt, it's really all the same thing. It means the exact same thing. It's just a fancier way to say it so that people confuse you. So is there collateral with junior debt or subordinated debt? There may be, there may not be. In many cases, junior debt is not secured by anything. Sometimes it's secured by the deal, just like the senior lender or the first lender. Sometimes it's just secured by cash flow. But basically, there's more flexible underwriting with junior debt, and it's a whole world that nobody emphasizes or talks about. It's a completely different way of getting deals funded. So there's something else called mezzanine debt. So what exactly is mezzanine debt? So whenever you hear mezzanine debt, mezzanine is just it's an Italian word. It's the word for a bridge-like structure. So pretty much, it's really similar. The only difference is it's more usually converts to equity. Usually it's unsecured, and it almost always converts to equity. So it's pretty much a form of a junior loan that turns into equity. So what I mean when I say turn into equity? Somebody can lend you money today, and then tomorrow it can be they'll be owed equity rather than it just be them being owed interest payments. And so it's really just like another way of saying convertible notes, because whenever you hear the word convertible notes, usually that is meant more for startups. So if you think of it this way, I guess a mezzanine loan is really just a private equity version of a convertible note. Because usually when people say convertible note, they're talking about a startup like Shark Tank, like an early stage company. But a mezzanine note or a mezzanine loan is more for private equity companies that are already generating revenue. That's usually how it's used. And it also fills in that gap. But it's a bit more high risk than just standard subordinated loans or junior loans that have collateral, because it's just a bit more risky because you're closer. 99% of the time, mezzanine loans turn into equity. So then you have the same issues of regulation and stuff like that, but then you have less issues of finding lenders, and so you have to be a bit more creative. for this type of loan. And then the last two types of loans are bridge financing. What is bridge financing exactly? Bridge financing is basically very temporary, and it's usually the collateral of bridge financing is usually the deal actually closing. So really it's just like a stand-in type of loan just for the purpose of closing the deal. And it's extremely similar, in fact almost congruent to a transactional loan or transactional fund. So it's really just funding that is literally meant to just close a deal. And there you have it. You have your junior slash mezzanine, you have your junior slash subordinated loans, which is usually backed by an asset, but it doesn't have to be. You have the mezzanine and convertible notes, which are usually backed by equity. And then you have your transactional based funding, or bridge funding, which is meant to give you money to close a deal. So that's the summary of the loans that fit between the equity and the normal debt.